Okay, so here we are on the 23rd of August, and we still have absolutely no idea what's going to happen in Canberra. We're in a state of limbo, and you can thank one person for that. It's that Machiavellian Malcolm Turnbull, playing his usual games, his mind games. Of course, he obviously doesn't want Peter Dutton in the job. He'd hate that, and so he's undermined Dutton, questioning his eligibility to be an MP because he has ownership of childminding centres. It sounds like a total furphy to me, and from what I've heard, Dutton shouldn't be in any real danger in that respect. And I think we've all had a gutful of this stuff about questioning whether MPs are eligible. We've had it with their citizenship. This stuff's got to stop. This is just, how can you run a country when you've got these issues continually coming up? And this is even more important because now we've got a leadership spill happening. And of course, you know what Turnbull's done. As his usual sleazy backroom guy with all these deals and whatever, he had a clandestine meeting with Scott Morrison. And of course, Scott Morrison's now put himself up as a candidate for the Prime Ministership. So that's just pathetic. You know, Scott Morrison, in my opinion, should have no hope of getting that job. If he does, he's going to basically be he'll only be Prime Minister for a few months if he's lucky, because there'll be another election anyway, and he'll be out on his arse. Dutton is the only hope for the Liberal Party right now, and it's a hard task because everybody's saying that they may be forced an election. Of course, it doesn't help that with Dutton also has the Murdoch press against him. Now, this is what the Herald Sun's saying. Why Dutton could be a disaster at the ballot box. So that's really unbiased reporting, isn't it? So obviously Herald Sun doesn't want Dutton. I mean, I find this extraordinary. I don't know what their issue is with him, because I think he'd be far better than Scott Morrison. But the Australian press are disgusting. They just are so agenda-driven. Even the Murdoch press, which you normally would think is a right-wing press, they're not behind the candidate who most people want, and that is Peter Dutton. So I find that quite extraordinary. And of course, I guess someone like Miranda Devine's now on suicide watch because she's just so enamoured with Turnbull, who's now basically his prime ministership's on the skids. Of course, he's dragging the whole process out because it's vintage Turnbull. He doesn't give a stuff about the country. He doesn't give a stuff about stability. He just wants to play his Machiavellian games, and he wants to give Scott Morrison more time. He doesn't care whether that causes instability in the country or the parliament or whatever. He doesn't give a rat's. He doesn't give a rat's about anything in this world apart from Malcolm Turnbull. You know, if I wish we could actually take citizenship off that guy, because as far as I'm concerned, he has disqualified himself as an Australian. His whole agenda has been a global agenda, a global green agenda, selling out the country. And I mean, whatever happens, thank God we got rid of him at least. But we are in limbo now because of him. We don't know where we stand. There should be a party meeting tomorrow around midday, and hopefully they'll resolve things. But the other thing that Turnbull does, he demands that he gets this letter with 43 signatures. No one else has ever done that in a leadership spill. I mean, it's just total BS. It's just, he's doing everything he can to make it hard for Dutton to actually finalise this challenge. And quite frankly, I think he's pretty well a shoo-in to win the Prime Ministership. So for all his manoeuvring and what have you, all Turnbull is tarnishing his name even further. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's a low-life slug. I'll be so glad to see the end of him. And I want to just make a little note and say thank you very much, John Howard, once more, for actually keeping this guy in Parliament. So all this suffering is actually due to the fact that John Howard encouraged Malcolm Turnbull to stay on. And hasn't that been a great move? Good on you, John. That really has worked out well for the party, hasn't it? He's almost destroyed the Liberal Party, John. So maybe you should just stay out of politics yourself. I mean, the whole thing's just a schmozzle. In a perfect world, Peter Dutton would be able to run the full course of the party. But of course, now Turnbull's resigning. There's going to be a by-election. I don't know why we have to have one quickly. Why should we have a by-election? Why not wait for the general election? It's not that far off. But we seem to love wasting money. So I think, if there's going to be a number of by-elections. That's another thing I would like to mention too, that I find extraordinary how wimpy the National Party's been. Their leader's absolutely hopeless, and now they've got an MP that's basically said he's going, if he doesn't get who he wants in control, he's going to basically go into the crossbench. This is a National Party member. What the hell's wrong with that party? The Liberals and the Nationals really have to cull out their membership in the parliamentary candidates, because they've got some real duds there and some real disloyal duds. So good on you, Malcolm. You're basically keeping the country in crisis, which is what you're very good at doing. Yet what you're not good at doing is actually governing for the country. So I'd be quite happy to see the arse end of you, but geez, you're making it even as hard as you possibly can, which is typical of you. You don't give a stuff about the country. It's all about you, Malcolm. Whatever the outcome is tomorrow, at least we won't be having to put up with his BS. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.